We're going to talk more about the situation today in Israel with our Jerusalem correspondent, Irris Makler, who joins me now live. Irris, first of all, what's the significance of this strike and these protests? Tell us a bit more about this court decision ordering an end to the strike today.
That's right. The court has ordered the strike to end half an hour ago. I just came here to see what the situation is in this street, and everything remains closed despite that court order, except the church, of course, whose doors are still open behind me. But I think people will be slowly going back to work as a result of that court order. I think the significance of the strike and of the protests is that they show us the level, something has changed for the Israeli public. We haven't seen a strike. And we haven't seen protests of this size, hundreds of thousands on the streets last night. And it was, in a sense, spontaneous. And it was a response to the news that the 6 hostages had been found dead. And I think what you're seeing is a turning point for the public. You know, will it be a turning point for the politicians? We have to yet see. But the public, I think, was horrified because the autopsies showed that these 6 were killed, executed basically, at being shot in the head at close range. And also because of the notion that 4 of the 6 had the possibility, at least 3 of the 6, but maybe even 4 of the 6 would have been in the first phase of a negotiated hostage release and ceasefire deal. They would have been released. Now let's just go back over those dates. A proposal was put forward in April. Israel put forward a proposal in May. It was adopted by Joe Biden and the UN Security Council. Hamas agreed to it in July, and nevertheless, there is no deal. And that and the fact that in the past 2 weeks, 13 hostages have been rescued. That is, 1 rescued alive, 12 returned in body bags. And those numbers are terrifying for the Israeli public, for the relatives of the hostages. And I guess what the public is saying now to their politicians is, we want this return of hostages to be prioritised. It's important to us. And, you know, we want you, the government, to act on that. Joe Biden, the US president, said that Hamas pulled the trigger and is plainly to blame for the death of these 6 hostages. I guess what the Israeli public is asking is, what role did its own government play?
Indeed. And as you say, this could really be a turning point for the public in Israel. But what about the politicians? And crucially, what about for Benjamin Netanyahu himself? Could this be a turning point for them?
We don't know the answer to that. You know, they've been holding pretty steadfast to the line, Benjamin Netanyahu's line, and his right-wing allies as well, that you don't reward Hamas, who's just killed 6 hostages, by doing a deal with them, that kind of talk, that these actions during a time of war, these protests, this strike, it's highly unusual, it's damaging for the public. They call for it to stop, but the public is calling on them to act. And I think you're seeing that rift perhaps for the first time. It's been a long war, a long, hard war for the people of Gaza, certainly, but for the people of Israel as well. We're also seeing an escalation of the border with Lebanon in the West Bank, certainly within the last 6 weeks. And I guess what's being asked here is this government carrying out something that is strategically successful for the state of Israel? And there are many former military, serving military leaders, security service leaders, who are beginning to question that, as well as the public.
Iris, thanks so much for that. That's the France 24's Jerusalem correspondent, Irris Makler.